have posted, and let's go. So we are live with COVID Marketing, the Q&A show to support small businesses, not just to survive, but to thrive. Week daily at 11:11. If you want support or if you want to provide support, let us know. I am Brent Kobayashi, president of Kobayashi Zeitguys. And we have all sorts of clients from large corporations to nonprofits, but it is our small businesses that we're most concerned about and feel that we can have the most impact with. So all you entrepreneurs, let's see what's possible. And joining me is my comrade, my awesome partner in crime, Mr. Arthur Tutts. So Arthur,
hello.
How you doing there? So I understand we might have somebody coming on possibly a little bit later. But in the meantime, you wanted to cover some stuff. What was that?
Yeah, in the meantime, I thought we could just kind of free roll here and get the ball rolling a little bit. And so I thought what would be good would be to dive into a little bit from an experience that we have from one of our own clients. And I guess I'll just check with you first in terms of keeping it confidential in terms of naming.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, right now we'll do it that way. As we move forward, we might not do as much. So we basically have a salon and spa client or salon, sorry, and well, they're shut down. And their cash flow is not healthy at the moment because they have no clients. And so we had some ideas on how we could support them, and they're kind of excited about this. So Arthur, do you want to give us a bit of background?
So I was going to say about a week ago now, we reached out to them because we had a number of ideas, things that we had agreed on that we were going to. Do I still have you there? My Zoom has frozen up. Did I lose you, Brent?
Quiet.
Some minor technical difficulties here.
Yes. Oh, lessons learned. Switch to the Wi-Fi that's closest to me in the house. Okay. So sorry, you said a week ago we reached out to them, and
I was just closing down a few things on my end as well, just to make sure there's nothing eating up the Wi-Fi here. 1 second.
Okay. While you're doing that, because I think it was actually on my end, let me just give a little bit of a background. So about a week ago, we had given them some suggestions and some ideas, and Arthur will go into that in a moment because it was really his brainchild. And they came back to us a couple of days later and said, we thought about it, and we're really sorry to do this, but the contract that we have with you, which is like a year contract, we can't pay you. So our answer, and this is something that I would inspire everybody to start doing, was it's not a problem. There's a lot of stuff we can do that we think will actually support you becoming stronger to not just survive, but to thrive. And so why don't we just cancel that invoice because it's on a monthly recurring invoice. And we've got some ideas that we still want to implement with you, which we're going to get into in a moment. And I know you're good for this. So if you're with your permission for us to do this and to continue doing some work for you, would you be cool with that? And they just came back today and they said, we still want you to continue. As soon as cash flow gets sort of figured out, we'll be right back at you. So anybody who's servicing businesses in the B2B business arena, this is going to become a little bit more of the new norm. We're going to have to push and pull and do a little bit more of that dance around cash flow, as much as you're capable of doing. Obviously, we all are looking to keep the lights on as much as possible. So that this economy can just keep going, right? That's really the goal here. So Arthur, what were you looking at with this client?
Exactly. So what I wanted to say is a lot of our suggestions were around options to do paid advertising. So whether that's paid advertising on Facebook, on Instagram, potentially we were even looking at LinkedIn as well to attract more corporate clients.
All still good ideas to do now, but go on. We're not doing that with this client.
But what I was going to say on that is one of the sides of paid advertising is that it's very immediate in terms of you're putting it out there now for somebody to respond to. And so in a moment when perhaps some people aren't, well, I mean, if you have to close your salon, there's nobody who's actually going to be coming into the salon. So what we started looking at is what are some of the longer term options that we could still work on and invest in now that would be valuable down the road. And so that's where we got into their Google My Business account. And so for anybody who's not familiar, Google My Business works with Google Maps. So whenever you're searching for something on Google Maps, maybe that's, coffee shop near me or whatever that is, the Google My Business profile comes up. And there's a lot that can be done with that profile to improve its strength, if you will, because one thing with Google My Business is it's very location relevant. As in, if you're looking for a coffee shop or you're looking for a hair salon, Google My Business wants to show you the closest businesses like that. Because if you're in Toronto, it doesn't want to show you a coffee shop in Texas, right? But the
closest,
strength,
but closest and best.
closest
Those
and
are the two
best.
things. Yes.
Exactly. So Google's kind of balancing those two things. So each business effectively has a territory, the area of influence. So when somebody is in that territory, and in this case, if they're looking for a hair salon, if our client is up at the top of the list and the person is there searching, then our client comes up. And so
now the interesting thing about this is this actually translates very, very, very specifically to dollars. Some companies know this and some companies don't know this. Literally, this is a way, way back when everybody would say search engine optimization, and people would be fighting for it, and it'd be the golden panacea of this is how you get all of your clients free, right? Because it's organic and you don't have to do anything except spend a lot of money on it. This is essentially that, but for very localized search.
I think you mean not a lot of money, spend a lot of time on it.
Well, they're kind of the same thing, right? So the reason why I mention money is because quite often clients would come to us and say, I want my website search engine optimized, or when we build
want
a
to be
site,
number one.
and so we can become number one. And so the explanation is, okay, so there's a lot of things for you to do, which means you need to write content, you need to do all of these technical things, you also have to get links from other sites and all that kind of stuff. And the way you do that, if you're not doing it, time, is you pay somebody to do it, money. So that's where SEO organic perhaps even still has a perception of either being, oh my gosh, it's a waste of money, it's snake oil type thing because a lot of people are selling it, or wow, that's really hard to do, or it's expensive, or there's still a lot of people that come to us and think that it is just free and should just naturally happen as soon as they build something. Not the case.
It should just happen. If you build it, they will come.
Yes. However, with Google My Business, we're actually possibly a little bit closer to that equation because it's not necessarily as crowded as SEO is, because SEO is even nationwide sometimes, although there is locality in it. And it is something that people aren't necessarily really honing in and picking up on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's perhaps more opportunity, especially for geolocal businesses, to succeed in this.
Exactly. And
so
I know
go ahead. Yeah.
every business, every situation is different. But I've seen clients potentially bringing in a third of their revenue from Google My Business, effectively it's a free business listing. And so for any business to not be taking advantage of that is leaving money on the table.
One last point before because we actually want to dig a little bit deeply into this, which I'm very excited about. We might lose visitors, I don't care, but some of them will really get something out of this, a visitors audience, whatever you want to call them. I'm thinking Google My Business, I'm into visitors right now. So not only is it a geolocal thing, but it is something that big businesses, especially with multiple locations, should be thinking about. So we have still a small business, but a business that is nationwide, or at least they have representatives nationwide. And we're going to them saying, you need to do a Google My Business game plan, because everybody else does not have the asset of you having individuals nationwide. I get that they're possibly home offices type of thing. And so there's a possibility there that you can really capture your market in local search for the terms that you would be most usually competing with from a national search scale, which is a lot harder because there's just a lot more people competing at that level. So if you can capture everybody that's sort of in your very tight geolocated area, and Google says, well, you're the only one who has a Google My Business, so we'll show you.
Or you're the best one.
You're the best one. Like literally, I've seen people rank with a nice, beautiful Google My Business sidebar in Google, like big, on generic terms. Like freaking hell, like generic. Like I'm searching for digital agency. There's digital agency and it's us, which is not the case in our place. That's your task to have happen, Arthur. But it's a real thing that you can do, especially in an underserved Google My Business in terms of inventory that Google's trying to serve up world. So it's been around for quite a while. It's not local SEO is not a new thing, but I think it's still an undertapped thing. All right, well, so you get into it. Let's do it.
What I thought would be really interesting for people to see, if you're okay with this, Brent, but to show you that we eat our own medicine here. I was going to show an example of the Kobayashi Zeitguys, what our territory is, and show a screenshot of where we're at now, and maybe this would be something in 6 months we could return to and say, here's how far we've come.
Is this going to taste as good as medicine? Buckley's?
Okay. Be a shot of Buckley's.
All right. Ready for this? Yeah, go for it. What's this gonna be?
I'll share my screen here.
Good morning, Arthur. What's your main focus? Nice. I like that.
You can see this okay?
Yep.
All right. So
I see a lot of red. That's our color, by the way. Our logo color. This is actually, it's almost exactly our logo color. So this must be a good thing, right?
Of course. So this is a tool that we use called Local Falcon. Not an endorsement of Local Falcon, just a tool that we use. And what we can do here is we could search by business. This is the business listing on Google My Business. And for specific keywords and a radius, we can see what that area of influence is. Now, being a marketing agency, we should be ranking quite well for this. But you can see right in the center here, this is our business location. Okay. And even if somebody was standing in front of the store or in front of the building and searched for marketing agency, we unfortunately would not be the first ones to come up. To change the
all right, keyword. We just lost all of our clients, Arthur. Thank you. We're live, you realize. Okay, keep going. This medicine is tasting like medicine.
For a different keyword, design agency, we're doing a little bit better here. Now we're coming up 5th on the list. So there's a chance somebody's going to see us here. But so the question everybody wants to know then is, okay, this is where it's at. What's next? How do you improve this? How do you get better? And so there's a number of things, and I probably don't want to go into too much detail about all of them here, but just to give a high level overview, the first one is going to be reviews, right? Your business, you've been around for a while, you've had lots of clients, hopefully lots of really happy clients. You could reach out to them and ask for reviews, because the more...
This is the perfect time. Holy cow, this is the perfect time. So you're sitting there at home, your clients are at home. If you have their email address, I would even call them up and say, hey, can I send you a link to our Google My Business review? It's actually a very specific link. You don't just send them. There's a way of getting that link, and maybe we can, I don't know, post it in show notes if we have show notes. And I'll let you talk in a moment, but I'm excited about this idea. So your clients are all at home. They've probably been too busy to review you in the past, or at least many of them have been. And so this is a great time this week, maybe next week, like you've already done your COVID, we're closed, and those long emails that are very text heavy saying all the different things that are going on with you, and hoping everybody's safe. But the next one out should probably be a, hey, we're going to be reopening, and you've been with us for whatever it is, make it a little bit personal. It would really super help us if you could leave us a review on Google, on Yelp, on Facebook, and then send them specific links. With Google My Business, there's a special way that you send a link that when they click on it, it goes immediately to a review form. It's just not a normal thing. So it's a little bit technical. We're not going to get into that online here. But yeah, that's exciting. Okay, Arthur, sorry, go on, go for it.
Well, I think you hit a really good point there right now. There's a lot of people that are just at home right now, and would be happy to help out in any way that they could. And the fact that it only takes a few seconds, people can just go on. And the beauty of the link, which we can show you later, is that it takes people right to the review page, so they don't have to look for anything. They don't have to find anything. Just click how many stars they want to put, quick couple of lines on their experience, and boom, review done.
Actually, you can just Google, how do I create a Google My Business review link? And then you'll get answers. We'll see if we can post something up for our wonderful viewers as well. But yeah, definitely do that. Don't just send them generically to a search page.
Exactly, because anything you can do to make it easier for the person reviewing it, the more likely people are actually going to do it.
I actually like this so much. I want to send this to our BIA, our business improvement area people, and to our counselors, and just say, hey, this needs to become a thing that people do. We're all on social media. Let's make sure that we leave, especially for the businesses that we really love and like, let's spend a little bit of time and give public feedback about how awesome they are, so that as things bounce back, and things are going to bounce back, possibly, I think, with a bit of a fury, they really are able to capitalize on and regain some of that cash flow that they've lost, so that they're stronger than ever.
Exactly. The other thing, or the next point I wanted to get into after reviews, is what are called citations. And before everybody's eyes glaze over with,
I'm back to university days. I'm like, oh no, and you have to get them exactly right, and
write a bibliography here.
Yeah, you lose all your, you had an 80 and now you're down to a 60 because your citations were wrong. Okay.
So without getting too technical, basically citations are all the different places on the internet that make reference to your business. So for example, that could be Yelp, that could be the Yellow Pages, that could be a Facebook page, it could be a LinkedIn page.
So inbound links.
Sure, all the inbound links. And so what's important there is to make sure there's consistency between them. So that means business name. Is your business name the same on all those different sources? Is your address and your phone number, is that the same? So you want to have consistency across the board. And there's a whole list. I think it's White Spark has a list of the major citation sources broken down by different countries.
Okay, so not just links, but you're actually talking about getting the name, the address, and the phone number identical.
Exactly, because I've seen a number of cases where businesses, they'll just have slight different variations in their name, kind of all the different locations across the internet, and perhaps that could be because the name was actually changed partway along the way.
Okay, so that makes total sense now, because we used to be Kobayashi Online. We merged with Zeitguys. We're now Kobayashi Zeitguys. I bet you there's a lot of Kobayashi Online still out there. We got really busy, and I don't think we cleaned that up. So
I didn't want to call you out on it, but yeah, there were a few inconsistencies there that I was thinking we should talk about later.
So the new thing with online is authenticity and vulnerability. Right. Okay. There we go.
Putting yourself out there.
Authentic and vulnerable.
The Other areas of Google My Business to talk about are to make sure that your things like business hours are up to date. For example, if your business is now actually shut because it's under COVID quarantine, to update your business listing so people know that your business is actually shut. Or if you're in a particular business that maybe still can be open, but your hours have changed, to update your hours. And not only to update your hours, but on Google My Business, similar to blogging, you can put up what are called posts, which is effectively just a post that you can put up, includes a photo or video, a little description. So perhaps this would be a good time to put up a post letting people know what is happening with your business under the COVID situation so that they're keeping up to date with what is actually happening.
Oh, I like that. So yes, so I've heard about the posts. I would actually say if you're doing any micro posting, which is basically what they call social, what is now just basically social media. People don't call it micro posting so much anymore. But if you're posting stuff on one medium, such as say Facebook, and you're doing updates there, consider just reposting it as what I think Google actually calls it, a blog post or just a post. Just a post, I think, and redoing it there. Also, if you're doing like some of our clients, like the salon, is very active on Instagram. Take those images. I'm not sure if you can do video on Google My Business, but take those images.
I
You
think
can
you
do
can.
video, yeah, and put them up on Google My Business as well. Just make that as part of your routine, because as people search for you and they want to check you out, they're going to oftentimes check out the images, and the images actually become part of the equation.
Exactly. People are definitely going to look through whatever photos you have up to get a sense of how your business is. The other thing I'd say though, from Google's point of view, because Google is always wanting to make sure that the business is current, it's active, they're still around. And so by doing something simple like once or twice a week, putting up a new post to your profile, putting up a new photo, getting a new review, adding a new citation, it's just that regular and consistent. You're always adding a little bit to it, and you're showing Google, yes, we are still active. We're still, even if doors are shut temporarily, as a business, we still exist, and we still want people to know about us.
Oh, the other thing that is true with Google My Business is all businesses that are watching, especially ones that actually have an address and a location, and maybe you've been listed in the business white pages or yellow pages or whatever, you actually have a Google My Business page. Most likely. Search for your business, and if you see something on the right side, sort of big thing with your business there and your location, that's your Google My Business page. If you're not actively controlling it, it just is there. And people actually can try to interact with the business, I think, through that page, leave reviews, which you might not be aware of. And if you look at it, there'll be a little link there that says, claim this business or own this business or manage this page, something like a question mark. That's actually the kind of the first step that you take to actually be active with your Google My Business page. Because if you're not active with it, then you actually don't know what's going on there. You're losing opportunities to optimize, but you're also losing opportunities potentially to communicate with clients that might be less happy if they're not able to really get in touch with you. And they could be leaving negative reviews, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you know how to deal with negative reviews well.
I want to stay on top of it. But
Yeah.
that is a really good point, that even if you haven't actually created your business profile yourself, somebody else may have created it. Google set it up so any
It can be,
user
yeah.
effectively can create a business listing, but you as the business owner can then claim it and own it. And would definitely recommending, if you haven't already done that, to do that as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I think they actually do that with sort of massive databases and other things that they use to say, oh no, there's probably a business there.
And so I think this is a really exceptional opportunity. Again, we don't know the future, whether this quarantine is going to be 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, I don't know. But this is definitely something that, as a business owner, this is an opportunity to beef up your Google My Business profile so that when business effect does pick up in the future, that you're now there at the top of the page, instead of down at the bottom, and that you've expanded out your territory of influence.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Let's put it this way. With business, there is a maximum that marketing is actually everything. Because if you don't have a market, you don't have a business. Some people do that by just having a geolocation and people walk by it, and then that's your market, street traffic. Some people do it by getting out there, knocking on doors and selling, and they create a market just by meeting people or word of mouth and all that sort of thing. But regardless, marketing is everything for business. So now is the time to check in with your marketing. And as much as you might be doing some cost savings, which is really important to keep the cash flow going, also look at the opportunities, which is to get your name out there. And this is one of the things that people just, when you're busy operating a business, quite often this is a little bit too much. Either it's an expense or too much time, right? Back to time and expense. So right now is the time to actually get these ducks in a row so that people can find you. Google My Business for every single geolocated, every single local business out there. You should be looking at this. You should be looking at this and maximizing this so that you come out strong.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I really love about the platform is it's effectively a free business listing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's also another way, if you are doing well with search engine optimization, it's one more little point to take full page ownership of when people are searching for terms.
Well, that's a really important point as well, because in the older days of Google Organic, the 10 listings that came up, that was kind of the whole page. But effectively now, especially for local listings, often now those are shifted down the page, and there'll now be a big map at the top of the page, and it gives you, sometimes called the snack pack or the map pack or the whatever. It'll give you those 3 top businesses.
The
So
tasty businesses. Yes.
So even if you were number 1 of Google Organic, potentially now you've been shifted down, and Google Maps, Google My Business is now higher up. And there's really, instead of having 10 listings, there's really just the 3. And so that's where being in those top 3 is a high priority.
And that's done a different way now than standard SEO.
Yeah, so that's
for those of you that are familiar with SEO. It's now
local SEO.
Local SEO. Yes. Okay, I think that's a really awesome. Anything else on your mind, or should we call that a wrap?
I feel like that's a pretty good overview of Google My Business. And again, I didn't mean to put you in the hot seat there, Brent, but I think it's really good that we showed, for Kobayashi where we're at with our own Google My Business profile. And I think it will be really interesting to come back to that in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, and to be able to show, look, this is what we've been able to do here.
Yeah, no, actually, I like that a lot. One of the things that I also really strongly believe in is show your story. So if we've been doing this business for 25 years, right? We're supposed to be the experts or whatever it is. And we do know this stuff. And there's nothing better than a story to tell. So if you are looking at this and you feel like you're not ready for something, online marketing and social and getting in front of people is one of those big things that people often feel like they're not ready to tell that story yet because they're just a little bit too new and they can see the gap and all that type of stuff. Look at this. We're an agency. We're supposed to know what we're doing, and we do, right? We have Arthur with us, and we certainly have known this is important. However, the story is right now, we're like really sucking at Google My Business.
Well, again, like you were saying, it just wasn't the highest priority because we had all our own clients to serve, right?
Yep. No, there's a million awesome reasons for it. But really what I want to hit home, and so I've got lots of great excuses and reasons and priorities and all that kind of rationale for it. Really what I want to hit home is start now. Like literally just start now. We talked about it yesterday. Start now. Don't wait for you to see that perceived gap in where you are now to where you think you should be for everybody to actually pay attention to you, actually start doing your stuff now, and your gap will actually close faster with whatever it happens to be. So our gap with Google My Business is going to close faster because a lot of, well, I don't know how many, a number of people, or I just know in my head that we have on live streaming said this is where we're at. So I'm a little bit more keener to actually close that gap faster. So I've got more motivation to close that gap. And it could be just as simple as that. So a month, 2 months, like literally, I'm going to be saying to you, Arthur, yes, okay, you've got the budget and the time to have to close the gap. This is really smart. This is a great way of getting budget. Just call it out in public. So you've got the budget and time to close this gap because I want to be able to come back in a whatever amount of time and say, hey, this is what we found, this is what we do, and hey, now we're successful, and woohoo, yay us. So all right, fantastic. Thank you for bringing that one up, Arthur.
Good stuff. Yeah.
I think it'll be really helpful for people watching.
Definitely.
And so let's wrap it.
I'm good.
Okay. So thank you very much for watching COVID Marketing, the week daily show for small businesses to help you not just survive, but to thrive in this online world. This is the time for opportunity. This is the time for growth. This is the time for going in the opposite direction of many who are maybe acting out of fear, naturally so. It is the opportunity. It is the time for cost savings. Absolutely do everything that you can as far as that go. But they always say things like, don't throw the baby out, with the bathwater. If you're thinking of cutting costs and you're thinking of cutting your marketing costs, I get it. Maybe come on the show or talk with us, reach out to us, because this is probably the one time where if everybody is going in that direction, you want to go in this direction, which is forward. Because that's what's going to both help you and it's also going to help our economy. And I believe that we're going to have a lot of opportunity to show up and be seen like never before. So thank you very much. Peace be to you and all good health. And see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.